All right, guys, here we are again, and I'm going to show you a few more tips. I'm going to show you how to get better images. So I told you in the last video that Journey to Oblivion Scryfall has better images. So we're just going to come up here. I'm not even going to type in the Google search. I'm just going to type up at the top, and I'm going to say Scryfall. Oh, there it is, Journey to Oblivion. Press enter. First thing I get, I can tell that it's scryfall.com. This is what I'm looking for. I'm going to grab it. And do you see how much nicer that is? But I'm not done. I could copy, right click, and get the picture as it is right now, but I'm not done. I'm going to right click it and open the image in a new tab. And then, oh my God, it's bigger. This bigger is better, guys, especially when it comes to images. So I'm going to right click and save this. I'm going to save it someplace with all the other junk that I have. Excellent. I'm going to close these out because I don't need them now. So now I'm going to come here and I'm going to replace this image, and I'm going to upload an image, and I'm going to go find it wherever it is. Journey. Here we are, Journey to Oblivion. Okay, so it still looks pretty small. I'm going to make it a little bigger because that's what I intended to begin with. It was like a half and half. All right, so let me save it as a draft, and I'm going to go preview it again, just like we did the last time. I'm going to reload it because I don't think it was done saving whenever I did this. Okay, so here we go. We've got our featured image, which is the big full background image, and we scroll through it. Our large image that we liked. And look at this. So, things to note though, guys. This is gigantic. I like it though. I don't have a problem with it because it's nice and clean. Look at that. You can see everything. What you need to notice is that your side text is now very, like, it's the traditional size. It's just now too small. So we need to fix it because we also need a little bit more space here at the bottom because that looks very close and we like space. You notice this paragraph, I use the shift enter in order to get a longer full paragraph, but still a break in the text a little bit, right? It doesn't look fantastic because it's just saying test text over and over again, but you know whenever it's appropriate and when it's not when you're writing. So let's go back and see if we can fix the way this looks. Maybe I'm going to change this from... I can change it from a paragraph, but I don't know if I want to. So I'm going to try the font size, and we're going to try medium. Let's say large. I know that looks crazy, but I just want to see, again, how that looks on the page, not in the editor, because sometimes in the editor looks crazy, and sometimes in the editor looks great, and on the page it looks awful. So we have to be aware of, aware of these tiny things and go fix them as we see them. So let's refresh our preview. Okay, now see, test text is a little bit closer to this. Now, personally, I'd probably just make this whole thing smaller. This test text looks really cramped. And part of it's because I chose to just type test text. I should really find a paragraph of something somewhere, but it doesn't matter. So I think we're realizing now that it might be better to make it smaller or just use this as a quote. So I hate this. It's killing me. So we're taking it out. And you can just backspace, but you can also remove the entire block. So we've done that. So let's get to what I actually came here to talk about, that I shouldn't have taken this long to go through that. We're talking about headings. So first thing to know is this post title is a type of heading. You have to have it, or else the search engine optimization SEO cannot find you. And finding you is the difference between the website doing well and the website not. Anytime you do a search someplace, so let's say, that's going to look for, say we're looking for sassy gamers. Look at this. And yes, I realize it just says something cute and catchy. I never actually came up with something I wanted to do there, and so I didn't. And you know what? It hasn't hurt us whatsoever because it's also me being sassy. It's on theme. But anyway, this is something of a title for the whole website. So it's important. When you look farther down, there should be, I'm going to try Early Access Corner episode 1. So we're going to say Sassy Gamers, and no, people won't normally search like this, but the more views we get and the better we do the pages, the more, if someone just searches Early Access Corner episode 1, it'll pop up. But for now, I'm going to help it along. So I'm saying here. So here's what we have. We have Early Access Corner episode 1-sassygamers.com. So this is how it's easy to find. And it gives, of course, a small snippet of the the beginning of the article. It's, if you don't make things look organized, then people aren't going to be able to find it. Specifically, the web crawlers won't be able to find it. So what we're doing today is that it's important to know you need a title. You also need headers. So let's say you are trying to do a review. You can have just an intro. You don't need something there. But let's say you're choosing to talk about different aspects of the game. Let's say you're going to talk about performance, and the next few paragraphs are only about the performance of the game. You want to make that easy to find. So this right here, how I just put performance, sometimes what people do is they just make those words bigger. That's not what we want. We actually want to come up here and choose heading, because that's a classification. And there's a hierarchy to these headings. There is the biggest heading, which is this post title and explanation. This is the biggest one you can make. It's the page title, and it always should be the biggest. Or here, the next step up is H2, which is a heading size 2. You need those. So the difference is, let's say that you're doing it like a page outline. This one, we would want to be an H3. But what that means now is that you need an H2. And I'm going to tell you why I'm doing that. So let's just say right here, you're going to say review. This is your review. We're going to make this a heading, and we're going to leave that in H2. That's fine. Up here, I'm just making this stuff up. You can do it how you want. I'm just showing you an example of how the page stuff could be. Okay, so let's say we have summary, and this is going to be a summary of the game, probably provided by the game maker. We're going to make that one an H2. So we have 2 H2s now, because these are the 2 big chunks of your, whatever. These are the 2 main chunks of your thing. Sometimes the summaries will have multiple stuff in it. I'm trying to think of a good example. I think one of Medjay, I think made us an article, and he has multiple, see, like this that says story and key features. These are, you can't really classify an image as a header, but they should be. So he's got the actual summary of the story has its own headings. So here we have a story of siblings, stunning artwork, tactical combat, and everything. That's all part of the summary. And that's selling the game. That's being like, this is the awesome stuff this game offers. Then he has his review. Well, after the review, theoretically, he would have, his own things there. He didn't have any, and that's fine, but we might. So we have an H2 for the summary, possibly smaller header 3s to, if they exist, to divide up parts of the summary. In this case, review would be another header 2, because this is where our content starts. And underneath our content will be things like performance, good click, story, and I'm being very vague, by the way. You can call these whatever you want, but this one will be an H3. Let's say combat, if I can spell it right. Oh, and I need this to be its own. Okay, hold on. There we go. There was an extra space there. So stop it. So this one is also going to be an H3. Okay, so we have multiple things going on there. I'll make one more. I'm having a moment. Let me go. It's like, give me another. We'll say value. I don't know. I'm just like, again, don't consider these hard choices. I'm just trying to get the tutorial over. Okay, and that's also an H3. Well, let's say we get to the very end of your review, and what if, so these H3s, or the 3-sized headers, are sort of like addendums to the H2 above. So they're part of our review. Well, let's say the very last paragraph is love letter to the devs. I'm just absolutely being ridiculous at this point. But we can make this a header too, because it is something else. So if you're imagining, I wish I had like the actual like drawings and stuff to show you guys, but if you're imagining that there's a table of contents to this, then you would see it exactly as it is. You would have a summary, you would have a review, and then under review, you would have performance, story, combat, value, and then we would have a love letter to the devs. Now let's save this as a draft, see what we've got. And then I'll have one more video after this where I talk to you guys about these features and stuff on the side, because those are post important. Okay, so here we are at the top. We have our summary, which again, the word summary doesn't have to be at the top like that. I was just trying to think of something. We have our review. These also can be centered. I'll go fix that in just a minute, but they don't have to be centered. It's just depends on how you want your aesthetic to be. So review, performance, story, combat, value, love letter to the devs. I'm going to show you real quick how to, when you click on these, just like the images, you choose center. And then center, you can't, unfortunately, Control Shift and do them all, because it would do all of your text too. And you don't actually want the text to be centered. You just want these to be centered. Almost done. Now I don't put a colon on these because it's pretty obvious that, you know, it's not part of the sentence. So it's a colon's not necessary. Okay, can I know I'm probably going too soon, but it was going so much faster. I have faith. Yeah, so they're centered now. So now you have summary, review, performance, story, combat, value, love letter to the devs. You can also, just as a tiny addendum, you can also add in another block a horizontal rule, or a separator. I'm sorry, they have different names for them. You can add a separator to these, and these separators can normally be, do they have, let's align at center. Usually have different styles. I'm going to do a wide line. Let me show you what that looks like. You could technically do this under each one if you wanted to. Sometimes whenever you get done and you go back and preview the page, you find out that it just looks ridiculous and you don't want to do that. But sometimes you need a little something. So we're about to find out if this needs a something or not. Okay, obviously here's what it is with the horizontal rule. It is missing a little love, because then it's, even though you can't tell, it's way too close to the other text. So let me see if that saves it by adding an extra space. It saves it a little bit, a little. When I eventually get to showing you Elementor, there's a lot of more things about it that are a lot cooler. For example, they have horizontal rules that you can put the words in between. So this rule could technically say review in it. And that might look cooler. It just depends on what you want to do. I'm not saying that looks cool. Just saying if you want a space there, sometimes it helps. It just depends. Okay, I've got 22 minutes. I'm going to stop now. I'll come back and show you the last minute things I wanted to show you about the post options.